When I was a kid, I was prone to getting motion sickness. We'd take many a road trip across the country, my brother and I beating each other in the back seat over CDs, all while playing dueling Game Boys. And inevitably, I would get nauseous. My parents, far too familiar with my propensity to get carsick, would yell, "Ashley, look up and look out." See, that would help fix the sensory mismatch. My eyes were able to make sense of the movement. But all I really felt like doing is to succumb, to complain, to whine, to mope. They'd roll down my back window, encourage me to breathe in fresh air, and set my sights on the horizon through the windshield. Look up and look out. As I struggled to keep my orange crush deep in my belly where it belonged, I couldn't have realized that one day, look up and look out, look up and look out, would become my mantra to get through some really tough stuff as an adult. Now let's fast forward. I'm 28 years old and I'm a high school teacher. I was told I needed a stable job with benefits, with a pension. And I'm passionate about building community, so it feels like a good fit. But every year, the next group of kids would graduate, and I couldn't help but think, is this what I'm destined to do? To stay put in one place? To take a back seat in my life while these kids graduate and move on and live these incredible lives, and I'm gonna stay in one place? And even though I longed for something more, I decided I'd go ahead, I'd get my master's degree so that I could earn my maximum earning potential. A formula that in itself felt very limiting, but nevertheless, it made practical sense. Now, it's the night of my master's comp exam. I give a pretty good presentation, I think. And I am in absolute agony. Gut-wrenching agony. I'm doubled over in pain. I cancel the celebration with my professors. And for the next few months, I am very sick. I lose 40 pounds, and I'm diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Now, if you don't know what Crohn's disease is, I'm gonna give you the real quick Cole's Notes version. For some reason, my body likes to attack itself for no particular reason, and it zeroes in on my gastrointestinal tract. My doctor at the time, who has literally the worst bedside manner ever, says, "Ashley, you're gonna struggle to live a normal life. We're going to have to take out your colon. You may not be able to have kids. You probably won't be able to hold down a steady job, so you should keep your unionized job with benefits. You should definitely not leave the country because we have universal health care. And this was a toughie, you may die early." To say that I didn't weep, that I didn't feel sorry for myself and go to the worst possible places would be a lie. I imagine my 48-year-old self living in my mom's basement, choking back ice cream bars one after another while I'm choking back tears of regret. I went to all those dark places and then some. My aspirations of summer spent in Paris, of becoming a fashion stylist maybe, all dashed in those 5 minutes that I spent with that doctor. And then I heard my mom's voice, "Breathe in." My dad's voice, "Look up and look out." And as I grappled with all of this new and definitely depressing information, I eventually and undoubtedly got to a place where I could accept the diagnosis as fact. And then from there, the ball was in my court. Look up and look out. Or stay sick and miserable in the back seat. I thought of the Kubler-Ross stages of grieving, in particular the 5th stage, acceptance. With acceptance, often a reimagining or reinvention of self and the energy to transform your life based on new possibilities, based on finding your purpose extensively, exhaustingly. And when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness that affects your day-to-day life, you're faced with the very real possibility that you're not going to be able to function in a normal way. But, and hear me out, what if being normal doesn't serve you best? What if being forced to solve problems within your own body makes you realize your ability to solve all the other problems that you may come across? And in my world, it boiled down to, why not dare? We sometimes do things to spite the illness, to demonstrate that it does not own you, it does not define you. You make a point to yourself and to others that one credible and viable response to being diagnosed with a chronic illness is to deliberately challenge yourself to rise above and not to sink with it. It's about recognizing that this is now a fact of your life. Acceptance. And it's a fact that it provides and involves great change. And all change is a process, including who we think we are, how we might see ourselves, who we might want to become, what our purpose is. And perhaps one of the reasons why accepting such large changes is so tough is because it does involve a shift in our identity. And changing how you perceive yourself can be so incredibly hard. This process can be activated in many ways, including coming to the fact that although our lives may be changed by illness, by challenges, by loss, that fact in and of itself does not have to be life-limiting. Because you can choose to look down or you can choose to look up. You can choose to stay stuck or you can choose to go forward. There's a fertile time for considering change and energizing change. You can choose to be bound by circumstance or you can choose to break free. And I chose to dare. I chose change. In that moment of compelled reflection, your life has been changed inalterably. And as acute as a life-changing diagnosis can be, so too can that moment be of acute transformation, if you let it be. The diagnosis of a chronic illness represents a change in our lives, but the moment of realization and acceptance of it as fact can provide a moment for reflection of the possibility of all the other change that's possible in our lives. In my case, the catalyst was diagnosis, but in your case, could be something like a divorce, could be getting let go from your job, could be that you didn't accomplish the goal that you've been working for years to accomplish. And it's easy when one's consumed with a challenge to view it as something that we're losing, and maybe we are. Until we grieve it, we accept it as fact, and we choose to look up and look out. We find the tenacity to overcome instead of the temptation into victimhood. Being backed into this overwhelmingly sharp and small corner has taught me that I have the tenacity and, most importantly, the creativity to go on. It reminded me of the threat of complacency, its attack on a life filled with purpose. Hey, I still had my colon intact, and I hadn't learned a thing about my disease yet, and there had to be other options. There had to be another way. So I embarked on a journey filled with journal articles, finding the right doctors, finding the right medicines, and most importantly, and this was something I hadn't done for years, was listening to my body. I set my sights on the horizon, setting goals for recovery and struggling through the process slowly but surely. And there were plenty of days of full body sobbing, snot dripping, ugly cries into the universe. But the next day I'd pick myself up and keep going on. Look up and look up. Setting goals and pursuing my passions gave me something to look forward to, and it kept me driven and motivated. And when your basic tools are removed, like your health, it forces you to dig even deeper. Because tomorrow isn't promised. Tomorrow isn't promised. Even when it felt so hard to go on, I found the courage to stay open to new possibilities, to fight for those goals that I had set squarely on the horizon. Because everyone has dreams. Everyone has those little embers of passion burning just below the surface. And how do we give those embers enough air to combust into a powerful flame? We choose to do so. It's a choice. Within a few years of my diagnosis, I would leave my comfortable vocation of teaching, and I would embark on an entrepreneurial journey that I only quietly whispered to myself when no one was looking, when no one was listening, and I set out and I built my brand, Smash Tess. I do the absolute opposite of what my doctor tells me to do. I find my husband. I pay for my own health benefits. I keep my colon where it belongs in my body, and I still have it. And the best part, I have 2 healthy, strong, powerful little girls. You see, previously I'd spent my life glancing at my dreams through the front windshield, but never holding my gaze long enough to truly affect change. Never stoking those embers of passion long enough to make a flame. But when I struggled through my diagnosis and treatment, I learned about my most tenacious self, fighting for my health, advocating for medicine and proper care, setting and challenging goals. It moved me forward in a direction that was new, exciting, powerful, and that momentum carried forward in all aspects of my life. I still get car sick. The familiar twinge in my stomach, the battle between inner ear and body. My friends and family think it's a rather convenient way of getting to sit shotgun. And now my daughter, Frankie, gets sick too. And when she does, I find myself calmly repeating the same words that my parents said to me. Look up and look out. And then I smile to myself, knowing the heart of those words, knowing that we have the ability to rise above the confusion, the heartache, the sludge, and focus our sights on a brighter future, one that we only imagined while we took a back seat in our own lives. And the truth is, and we all know it well, we're always going to have to battle. We're always going to have those challenges that feel nearly impossible. But it's in that moment of forced contemplation, when we choose to look up and look out, that we can take control of our journey and live the life we want instead of the one that was given to us. Thank you.